Cricketer? Cricketer. Cricketeer. Cricketeer sounds more like a man of the empire. This week in I Really Need a Haircut, and incidentally, Shotgun Barbers, which are my favourite barbers in Bristol, have just followed me on Instagram. And maybe, how about a haircut? Can I get a haircut, please? Sledging. Ho, ho, ho! It's not Christmas. It's nowhere near. And yet the scare stories of snow are already coming thick and fast. As part of it not being Christmas or even winter, this week's word has nothing to do with snow or sledges or adverts for brown fizzy drinks, which every year everyone goes a bit mad for, which I don't really understand, and I submit to you has become part of the religion of Christmas. Sorry, I got off topic there. I mean, it's a habit and a problem. Sledging made headlines this week after one cricketer got insulted by another cricketer on the cricket pitch, the cricket field, on the cricket field. Despite being reasonably well spoken and sometimes sat in a suit in a Mercedes-Benz, I know nothing about cricket. This one cricketer said to the other cricketer that he was he basically threw some abuse at him. He called this other cricketer Osama because he has brown skin and a beard. What a witty fellow. Sledging is the act of throwing abuse at another player on a cricket field, mainly to break their concentration and their morale so that they don't play as well. As if millions of people watching via television and also thousands of people watching you in those giant stadiums that they have isn't enough. It's the thing about sport that always fascinates me. It's not necessarily always the playing that's the hard bit. Sometimes it's the bit where you have to perform in front of lots of people. My personal favourite sledging incident took place during a game between Australia and Zimbabwe. Glenn McGrath, who played for Australia, said to Edo Brandes, "Why are you so fat?" To which Brandes replied, "Because every time I fuck your wife, she feeds me a biscuit." Now, for obvious reasons, there's been lots of debate over the years as to whether this particular practice, sledging, of, abusing each other on the pitch, on the field, is necessarily sportsmanlike. Like a lot of things, I guess it's in a case-by-case basis. That particular retort to the fat jibe earlier on, I quite enjoy, because that guy got called fat and he had a pretty good return. Calling someone a Sama though, and I mean, it just strikes me as lazy basically, because that man has brown skin and he has a beard, so thus I will associate with him with an extremely complex problem. In fact, I go a step further and say that cultural bigotry, which is a word I can't say properly, cultural bigotry is really just a synonym for laziness. But what about the etymology of it? Give me that sweet, sweet etymology. Yum, yum, yum. Well, it appears to be of Antipodean origin. The rather delightful Oswords.org tells a fairly common held story of the origin of this particular term. The story goes that after a match there was a huge party once, and the party sort of came to an end. Everybody got too drunk, or it was too late or whatever, and there were 4 men left standing. A 5th returned with a female companion and asked what had happened to the party. One of the first 4 cricketers replied, "Well, it's all fucked up." Embarrassed that someone had sworn in front of his lady companion, because back then women were made out of paper and expectation, that 5th cricketer replied, "Wow, you're as subtle as a sledgehammer." The story became the anecdote which stood behind the term sledging, which encompassed anybody who swore in front of a lady, because ladies were made out of sweet smelling air and lace back then. There is another bit of this story which is told usually in order with that anecdote, but actually strikes me as a separate explanation. Around about the time of this particular phrase coming into use, there was a song in the charts by a guy called Percy Sledge. You might be familiar with it. It's called When a Man Loves a Woman. So anybody who was caught or was seen or heard to be swearing in front of a woman was called either a Percy or a Sledge, because women were made out of dust and mushy peas back then. The story continues that the next generation of players didn't really realise the etymology or the history of this particular word, and so they just deemed it a term for any kind of abuse that happened on the field during a game. So there we go. Someone wrote a song once and then someone else did a swear in front of a woman, and this became a specific term to refer to a specific type of abuse in a specific sports game. It continues to amaze me how tenuous some of these stories are. I mean, if I put them in a story or made them up, you'd be like, well, that seems a bit too tenuous. Maybe he needs to work harder as a writer or something. Speaking of stories, here is a story right here. I'm going to put it right here. And here is another story right here. I'm going to put it right there. Also, press this button, which is my face over my face, so that you can do a subscription or look at other videos or something. Okay, thank you very much then. Bye.